Embracing Our Culture Coast to Coast is presented by Universal Companies and sponsored by Philadelphia Energy Solutions, Pico, Comcast, and Always Best Care.
So we start from the beginning?
Introduce yourself if you would.
Yeah, sure. My name is Conda Mason. Come on, Usher. Oh, Usher, come on.
No, I love to do this talk.
I'm Conda Mason, and I am the co-founder, one of the co-founders and CEO of Impact Hub Oakland, which is where you are right now. And so this was two buildings that were old car dealerships. And essentially we came in and we hired an amazing architect, a young sister by the name of Nambi Gardner. She wasn't even 30 when she started. She's 30 now. She was getting her architect license. She hadn't even finished getting her license yet. Do you want me to talk to you? Okay. And she designed this whole thing along with us. And essentially, this is a co-working space. And it's a co-working community, really. We call it a community because that's what it is. During the day, this place is packed with workers, people with their laptops doing, our theme is, we ask the question, what makes you come alive? And so our theme is people who are involved in projects that are making the world a better place. That the world, we know that, we say another world is possible. And so they are amazing people doing incredible projects, entrepreneurs, people who are doing either the social justice side, sustainability side, it could be all kinds of incredible projects are going on here during the day. So this is a co-working space, co-working community. We built it also so that it's also a venue. Everything is on wheels, all the tables and chairs, and during the evenings, everything gets pushed away or packed up in the back, and this becomes one big, huge venue. We have a great PA system, a big screen, stage, and people rent the venue for all kinds of like-minded ventures. Like yesterday, what was the name of the thing?
It got in yesterday.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
It was black and brown young men and men, and they had full-on ritual in here.
Yeah, I saw it. They were
got
posting
it in
yesterday.
Hannah was like, "Why aren't you here? Why aren't you here?"
Yeah, so it was all black and brown young men, and doing their incredible ritual, and it was. So we do all kinds of events here.
How many square feet is it?
Huh?
How many square feet?
This is 16,000 square feet. We have 16,000 square feet plus the 5,000 square foot basement downstairs that we're going to turn hopefully into a makerspace. Is what we're trying to do.
What is a makerspace?
A makerspace is, there's a movement now for people to make our own things. And so you there have all kinds of equipment so that young people, they make all kinds of stuff. It's hard to describe what a makerspace is. How do you describe a makerspace? There's something called a 3D printer. I don't know if you've ever heard of a 3D printer. Sure. So we're having a 3D printer. That's the idea, is get a 3D printer down there. We have some people who have one, want to use the space. So
and
we're trying to do
next month
that.
we'll have one here.
Huh?
There'll be a workshop. There'll be a 3D printing workshop during the show. The artists.
Oh, great.
So how are you funded?
How are we funded? So we are a for-profit. We are a LLC. And essentially, we had to raise $1.8 million, and we raised all of it minus, we're like 70K shy of our raise, which means we're done. Sorry?
How long did it take to raise?
It took us 2.5 years to get to here from the very beginning, but we didn't start raising money. It took us a year.
A year.
It took a year to raise the money. By the time we actually finally got our financial model where we can actually give it to people, it took us forever to create our financial model.
So what is your financial model? How do you generate revenue?
Okay, so we have three basic revenue streams. One are what we call hot desk members, these people who are out here. This is a membership-based community. So it's like time-based membership, meaning that I give you a card. However many hours a month you want to be in the space is how you pay. The cheapest is $30 a month all the way to $415 a month, and that's unlimited membership. So you're here the whole time. You have keys, ways, you do whatever you want. So that's one revenue stream. We have right now over 400 members.
And what level are most of them at?
Most of them are at what we call O10, which is 10 hours. And 10 hours is our next to the lowest number, which actually is good for us and good for the community. It works. That's kind of I think that is that is where financially people fit, is in that space, most people. So we have members, those members. Then we have our solid base, financial base is, and I'll show you, is that we have 21 offices, permanent offices. Like that's an office. Okay, all behind you are offices, all around are offices. These offices are where people go every day to go to work. And so it is literally, we curated it. We have a waiting list. We have 21, we're all full up. And those people pay us monthly like a
Rent.
Right? And so we really made sure that we had a really interesting ecosystem of businesses. And so we've got incredible businesses in here doing great stuff. So we have that. That right there is a real solid base, 21 offices, because the lowest is $900 a month, and it goes all the way up to $3,300 a month for rent. And so that's a rock. Then we have this, and then the venue. We rent the venue. We do events and workshops and all of that.
What's an average rental fee for the venue?
What is the average rental fee? I would say average is
Average
probably.
rental
See, we do stuff for the community.
Yeah.
We do a lot of community low end stuff.
Average, like,
and then we
so it's kind of like pay what you can?
no,
No.
not at all. It does not pay what you
I'd
can.
say
But we do favors because we want
do
the
a lot of
community
favors.
here.
Sure.
But I'd
900?
say what?
900.
About
This
900 is
room?
average.
For
Yeah,
this
900.
space?
Yeah, about
900
900 is
For
average.
an
It's
8-hour
average.
period, a full day.
Because it goes from we give it to the community
3.5 hours.
$250, you know, like
Okay.
somebody does something that we want to have here. But then, you know, someone else is paid, well, for the whole space, we've had people pay $7,000 to give their annual party.
Right.
That kind of a thing. It's typically, this space is about $1,200 dollars to rent for a few hours, for like
3 hours.
4 hours, 3 to 4
Do you mind
hours.
if I ask you a question?
Of course not.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
No, I'm just asking questions.
Is this a concept that you guys created, or did you attach to a concept that was already established?
Yeah.
Where did it come from?
So the hubs, there's a network. There are there's about 60 hubs around the world, starting in London. And Impact Hub, they're called now. We rebranded to Impact Hub. There are 60 around the world. There's one in South Africa. There's all
one
over
in Philly.
Europe. There's one in Philly. There's one in Philly, Impact Hub Philly
Now,
now.
let me know something.
It's one of the newest ones.
I need to.
As a matter of fact, they modeled their stuff after us. They did a lot of modeling after us. We did a Kickstarter campaign. Was the first thing we did. We went for $100,000 and we actually made 143. It was off the hook. And that Kickstarter campaign really, more than the money, is kind of the social capital that we got out of it. You know, people just learned about it, and we had an amazing, just incredible amount. As a matter of fact, what happened after that is when our first investors started coming in, because they saw we were serious players and that people wanted us here. And so we basically we raised, like I said, 1.8 million minus the 70, through the city of Oakland had some redevelopment money that we got. $175,000 came from there. We have 2 loans. One, OBDC, which is Oakland Business Development Corporation, which is part of HUD money. We've got a loan with them. We have another loan, and then we have basically angel investors, equity and convertible notes. And so essentially, we just hustled and got the money, and Lord knows we didn't have it when we started. Like when we pushed the button on this place and said, and they started demoing, we had 50 grand. And the next month, I had a monthly schedule of how much we had to pay. The next month, like 100 something was due. The next month was 200. I mean, we put in 800. And it was, I have never
I see the
scared
stress.
in my
I
entire
see the sweat starting to bead on your forehead.
The memories.
I can't sweat, honey. I'm talking about not sleeping. I'm talking literally shaking,
Yeah.
literally. And like I would walk in here and think, this when it was empty, it's like, and everybody, naysayers, boy, they were like, you guys going too big. You're not going to be able to pull this off. It was like, go small. And we just kept putting the foot on the gas. And I was thinking, okay, Lord, I know I'm supposed to do this because it was right. We walked in here and it was like, this is it. I knew this was right.
What are your individual backgrounds
That's what I was going to just ask.
that brought you together and then made this happen?
Yeah.
Is one of you good in finance and one of you good at the art?
I had never
There
been
are actually
any-
7 of us.
There's 7
There are actually
founders.
7 founders.
There are 7 of
Yeah.
us. Yeah, and so we're 2 of 7. There are 3 of us who work here every day, myself, Ashara, and a woman named Lisa Chacon. Lisa and I are co-directors. I'm the CEO, Lisa's the COO, and Ashara is the CCO, Chief Creative Officer. And so the other partners are all, everybody had a role to play in making this happen. Essentially, my background is that I'm a filmmaker. I'm a yoga teacher, and meditation teacher. Sarah and I know each other from Health Quest magazine when I did a whole thing on yoga back in 1990 something or other. But I came to Oakland. I went to Cal, went to Berkeley years ago in the 70s, but then gone a million things later. I came back to Oakland to make a film for Chabot Space and Science Center, and looked around and fell in love with Oakland because the movement and the young people. What got me was the young people too. The young people here are on fire doing amazing stuff. And I was just taken by what was happening here in Oakland. The movement to really change the world is centered here in so many ways. And I'm talking folks of color, young folks of color, getting it on. So I was like, oh, Lord have mercy, I had to move here. So I never even went back to LA. I just basically got my stuff packed up and moved here. And not knowing what I was going to do, film. I did a lot of film stuff for people. You know, I said the movement to change the world needs a voice, you know, it needs media, so I did things like that. And then I combined myself, I met Zakiya Harris and Pandora Thomas, who had a company called Earthseed. And Earthseed was doing sustainable, I had gone back to school in sustainable business practices, and Earthseed was doing a project that was basically bringing folks of color more into the center of the green economy. And we ended up doing a panel there's this conference called SOCAP, Social Capital Markets. It's people who do impact investing. Impact investing is people like now are saying, you know, I've got all this money and I've been doing all these horrible things with it, Chevron and everybody, let me do something good with my money. And those are impact investors. And so there's this yearly conference. I went to the conference, we did a panel at the conference, and talking about investing in Oakland. And from there, the people who own SOCAP also own Hub San Francisco, which is the first hub in the US. They own Hub San Francisco. And they basically kind of stopped us and said, hey, there needs to be a hub in Oakland. Y'all should open up Hub Oakland. Mm-hmm. I was like, Hub Oakland, what is a hub? I was learning about Hub. I had been to Hub San Francisco a couple of times. And from there, it was like clear that that's what needed to happen. And so Zakiya and I started together. Pandora fell out, she didn't want to do it. And we started this whole venture and adding people in. All the 7 partners came in one at a time, pretty much curated the partnership, having everything that we needed to make this happen, because I didn't have a clue how it was going to make it happen. Had no background in finance, nothing. And so we just put together a good team. Lisa Chacon is a PhD in chemistry. She had to know math if she knew chemistry. So she became the CFO. She was like, I'm not a CFO, I don't know any of this stuff. And but she's smart as hell. And just, you know, drilled down into learning. Ashara came in, and her skills at community building and events and just cultural activities. And so what we did is we started by doing events, doing big events that people thought we had we didn't have anything going. In the background, Lisa and I are trying to figure out the money, and Ashara is kind of the front-facing person making a whole image. And so we started imaging and all of that and branding ourselves and having incredible success with that.
Embracing Our Culture Coast to Coast is presented by Universal Companies and sponsored by Philadelphia Energy Solutions, Pico, Comcast, and Always Best Care.